Let's go. On you. 1, 2, 3. We dominate the line of scrimmage. To put 11 hands on the motherfucking ball. To shut these motherfuckers out. To lead this bitch victorious. To not let me the fuck down. To light up this motherfucking scoreboard. To put the fear of God in these motherfuckers.
Let's go! And that's how you start episode off of Hate2Pylon, baby. We expect to dominate this episode this week. Welcome, everybody. I am CJ alongside Jonathan as we got, Last Chance U's finest, Jason Brown, hyping us up this week. And it's going to be plenty more hype this week because we're excited because it's Thanksgiving week. Turkey Bowl week. It's a lot of fun. A lot of grubbing is about to go down. But we got a lot of shit to talk. And we're going to be all action, baby. All action this episode. Are you ready to go? Are you ready? I don't think you're ready for this week, man. I don't think you're ready for it. Hold on. Wait. I got one more thing for you. You ready for this?
This is the dogs! It's December, baby! This is how we do it for the dogs! Go, Georgia! Woo!
Woo! We hyped up, baby! I told you he wasn't ready for this.
Why is that Hunter supporting his sister coaching the Georgia softball team?
Yo, he really does look like it. That's hilarious. Oh, man.
You got to clip that and show it to him.
Ooh, I'll just for you, Hunter. Shout out to Hunter. All right, so this is our first. Man, my energy is crazy. That was great. All right, so to start off, of course, the first thing we always got to do before we start any show, we are on the quest to 50 subs and followers on Twitch here and also on YouTube. So go ahead and tell a friend, tell 2 friends, tell 3 friends. Help us get to 50 subscribers here on YouTube and Twitch TV, and we'll do a giveaway, a fat giveaway. It's gonna be pretty dope. Let's start off the year, being affiliates and partners of Twitch, and let's get this brand up and moving. Tell a friend to come watch Hate2Pylon because this shit is hilarious. We are only getting better because we are going to be on ESPN level, and we're going to be above and beyond that very soon. They're going to try to pick us up and sell us. Like, manifest your dreams. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, go ahead and follow us and tell a friend. All right. Cool. All right, so we're going to start off straight into prime time, baby. I'm not talking about, Deion Sanders, but I'm talking about the prime time picks this week. Prime time pylon, and we're going to go straight to Thursday night last week, and we had a really, really, really good game. We had the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Seattle Seahawks, which is the top division in the NFC West, and we'll talk a little bit more about who the other 2 teams in the NFC West, particularly the Rams, later on when we talk about the Monday Night Football game. But what did you see from this game, and what was the biggest takeaway from this game, Jonathan, for Thursday night?
Biggest takeaway was Carlos Hyde isn't washed. He still was getting it done. He had 14 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown, and I think the longest carry he had went for 17 yards. So he didn't break off like a long one, but he was consistently getting like a good 5 to 7 yards a carry. So that's pretty good considering they were without Chris Carson.
Right.
And he was coming off his own injury, so it was good to see that from Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, running the ball for the Seattle Seahawks is definitely a huge thing. Dating back to Marshawn Lynch, Sean Alexander.
Yeah.
The lone MVP season, Madden curse years. Like they are a team that needs to run the ball. Russell Wilson is great. We love Russell Wilson. He's definitely fallen out of the MVP race pretty hard. But he can't be. I guess he can win games for you, but you don't want that to be time in and time out. They have to be able to establish that running game to be able to really set up those deep passes to DK Metcalf, those deep passes to Tyler Lockett. And that's when they're most dangerous. The defense has to be better. And they did this week, especially with the key trade that they make for Carlos Dunlap, who's inspired. He's ready to play with 2 huge sacks this week on Kyler Murray. This is what they need. This is exactly what they need to do to have a chance in the NFC West, which is a tough, tough division.
Yeah. And another thing with Russell Wilson is he's been a little turnover prone over the last month or so. And he didn't have any turnovers this game. He didn't throw any picks. He did fumble twice, but they were both recovered by the Seahawks. Yeah. So even though he didn't have any turnovers, he's still having some issues with ball security. He needs to tighten that up if they're going to make this postseason push that the people are expecting them to have, and that they're capable of.
Speaking of postseason push, one development out of this Cardinals game is that Kyler Murray is dealing with a little bit of a shoulder soreness, possibly an injury. Not exactly sure how significant it is, but that's something to watch. I don't know if he practiced today or not. Today would been a big that would be a big indicator whether or not he's going to be progressing for Sunday. But there was a little bit of a headline going in. He had a little bit longer week to recover from it, especially from coming out of the game. So that's something to look forward to as Arizona Cardinals, progress throughout the season. I don't know. It's just an exciting division. It's definitely the best division to watch, besides the NFC East. But let's move on to Sunday Night Football. And we had another, barn burner of a match here. We had the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Chiefs picking up the victory 35-31. And the biggest headline was, coming into this game before this week's headlines, the Raiders beat the Chiefs to give them their only loss of the season. They played them tough. They played them good. Then coming into this week, Raiders players had 7 players on COVID list. Didn't know if they were going to get cleared. I think all 7 got cleared and activated for this week. And Raiders played this team tough into the last minute. They just gave Patrick Mahomes way too much time to operate and let them just go down the field to score with an wide open touchdown, which I saw that the Raiders had John Cena on the field guarding Travis Kelce. It was just absolutely just too easy. You couldn't see the defender at all. And you hate to see it. Like, the Raiders still, I think, are going to be a big threat in the AFC. They are just they're surprisingly really good. Their defense that defensive line plays nasty, vicious. Especially, what's his name? 98. Max
Crosby.
Yeah, and they
the Condor.
He has high motor guys. They're building something. They built something really good. They got a lot of really good players. They have a lot of value name players. They're like the great value team of the NFL. You sleep on it's just great value, but then also you happen to be a little broke this week. You buy a bag of the great value salt and vinegar chips, great value sour cream and onion, great value barbecue chips, and you be like, damn, these are really good. And maybe these might actually beat out some of the, the Lay's, the Wise chips. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you can get a little sleeper of an upset. And that's kind of how I feel the Raiders are. Derek Carr's been playing pretty good football. They've been featuring, what's his name?
Nelson Aguilar.
Nelson Aguilar, who's been, good, still has some, they still are not there yet because there's, key drops that they've had that just really messed them up where they know they should really just take off. Josh Jacobs, 17 rushes for 55 yards in the touchdown. Touchdown was good. Not enough yard production for sure to get that time of possession that they want in their favor. But yeah, they got guys who are playing well for them. Hunter Renfrow has been their clutch third down guy. Only 2 catches this week, but he's been a guy who can get them a third down conversion. Not enough production from Henry Ruggs. Only 1 catch for 5 yards. That's what they got to see more. A big 1-yard catch for Jason Witten after committing a penalty on that drive. I think it was a false start when they was in the goal line, on the goal line, excuse me, and catching that touchdown. But Derek Carr played really well. Let's see, 23 for 31, 275 and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. So pretty good day for Derek Carr. What did you think about the Kansas City Chiefs, Jonathan?
I mean, they are what we expect them to be. You know, they ran the ball pretty well. I mean, let's see, Clyde Edwards-Helaire averaged 5 yards per carry, 14 carries for 69 yards and 2 tutties. Le'Veon had 7 carries for 25 yards and a tutty. So he was under 4 yards per carry, not great. For the team as a whole, they averaged 4 yards per carry. So, I mean, good, not great production there. Obviously, they had 3 touchdowns. So that's good, but the yardage really wasn't there. But they didn't really need it to be because Patrick Mahomes can throw for 350 like it's nothing. And he did. 34 of 45 for 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, did throw an interception. Pardon me. And then, he found his 2 favorite targets 19 times, 8 catches on 10 targets for Travis Kelce for 127 yards and a touchdown, 14 targets for Tyreek Hill for 11 catches, 102 yards and a touchdown. And then the other thing Patrick Mahomes does is he spreads the ball around as well. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 other players that caught passes. So
9 total?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Honestly, at the end of that game, you can't do nothing, about it. I mean, the Chiefs are great. They're 9-1. You almost kind of start to sleep on them in a sense because, especially a kind of a lot of games that they played lately haven't been that blow them out, shoot them out kind of games. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, the Las Vegas Raiders just have to say this.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. And, I mean, they got to win. They snuck a win of Kansas City. They have to finish strong. Let me see what the remaining schedule is for the season.
Let's see. They got at the Falcons this week.
At the
Jets. Home against the Colts. Home against the Chargers. Home against the Dolphins. And then at the Broncos.
So they kind of finish up with a pretty tough schedule. I mean, the next 2, they should be able to be good. They just can't, take it easy these next 2 weeks. That should be a good boost, confidence boost for the Raiders. But then going against the Colts is going to be a big test, as we'll talk about a little bit later, about that Colts team who's just – they're stout. They're a stout team, but you didn't know that. I mean, it was just weird. Then you got Chargers who's going to put up some points on you. They got the Dolphins who's, good team, can run to a roadblock this past week, but they're both home games against 2 young teams, so that could be that could help. And then finishing off in Denver, Denver is not dead yet, as we saw this past week. So, And this is a divisional game. Drew Lock's been cooking. He's been heating up. So we'll see. Going into our next primetime game and wrapping up this primetime pylon is we have the game that was really interesting going in. We had the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And woo! Ooh, there's a lot to say in this game. The Los Angeles Rams picking up the victory 27-24, putting the Rams to 7-3 and knocking down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to 7-4. Impressive performances from the Rams, Jared Goff, 39 for 51, 51 passes from Jared Goff, insane. 376 yards for 3 touchdowns, but did throw 2 interceptions. They only ran the ball. This is very uncharacteristic of the Rams, but I mean, you had to do what you had to do. Was it 16, 17, 18, 20 times total for what is that? 35, 40, 41 yards, 36 yards, -4 from Robert Woods. So that's not a lot of rushing yards, but 2 standout performances by Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Cooper Kupp going for 13 targets, 11 catches for 145 yards, and on 15 targets for Robert Woods, 12 catches for 130 and a touchdown. That is insane. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 non-receivers he threw to as well. So we're talking about Patrick Mahomes type level right here. And he did what we said we couldn't do, and that is he was able to win a shootout and throw the ball, and like he had the ball, like he carried the team to do what he had to do. And most of the time Jared Goff gets carried, like he gets the good Jared Goff where you don't have to throw the ball more than 25 times. You run the ball very successfully. Before it was Todd Gurley just running all over teams and throwing screen routes, but now he has Malcolm Brown and
Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson.
Yeah. So that was like that, to carry the lead. But he did 51 times. He passed the ball 51 times. That is a lot, especially for a quarterback. I mean, this is the thing. For a number 1 overall pick, he should be doing this and be winning games, and there shouldn't be a question about it. So he's kind of honestly having the Alex Smith of trajectories in a sense of early on feeling like a bust, but then as he's been proven, he's showing that he is a good quarterback. And of course, when you have one of the best young play callers, aside from Eric B, he has. Sean McVay is a good coach. He's kind of getting some of that spotlight off of him and kind of was able to do it under the radar. And he had a lot of the hype, especially when he first came in the league, going to the Super Bowl, and people were like, oh, we need a Sean McVay. And then but then Sean McVay kind of, last year wasn't this best year, but he's slowly building his team and keeping his team afloat. I remember early on this off season, in preseason, we talked about I've said that you never know with the Rams. You don't know. They could be a team that competes in the NFC, or they could just be trash, because it all just depends on Jared Goff. And Jared Goff has been playing pretty well the last couple of weeks, and 73 record right now, very in the race with the NFC West, where you got a three-headed attack right now. You got the Cardinals, you have the Seahawks, and then them. I think this win puts them tied for first, or maybe in first. I think the Seahawks beat the Rams early this year, if I'm not mistaken. I can fact check real quick. Or have they yet to play?
I think the Rams. Did the Rams beat the Seahawks? Yeah, the Rams beat the Seahawks.
The Rams did beat the Seahawks, so they actually have be in first place. They beat. They lost to the 49ers earlier this year, and they still didn't play. I don't think they played the Cardinals yet this year, actually. Yeah, so they played Cardinals twice, and they got the Seahawks. So they have the Seahawks and the Cardinals week 16 and 17, and yeah, they still have to play the Cardinals, and they played the 49ers again next week. So definitely ready to go. They need to get this win over San Francisco and get some wins in the division. Big divisional games coming up for the Rams. Can they run the table? We'll see. Jonathan, what do you have to say about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past week?
Where to start? Tom Brady is 1-3 in primetime games this year.
Not good.
Not good. I think he's thrown 5 touchdowns to 5 interceptions in those 4 games. Also not good. You know who else threw an even touchdown to interception ratio and got cut, or not cut, but got
released?
They didn't even release him. They just let him walk in free agency.
That's true.
But Jameis Winston in the same offense. So is Jameis Winston bad, or is this just a very risky offense where you're going to get hit some big plays and you're going to throw some turnovers?
It's like the Carlos Stanton of offenses. He can hit
Yes.
a tons and look good, or he can strike out a lot and just look terrible.
And that might not be Jameis. That might just be Bruce Arians' offense. Because we're seeing the same thing with Tom Brady.
Can I pose a question for you real quick?
You may.
So if it's Bruce Arians and Brian Leftwich, who's the offensive coordinator, do you think Bruce Arians has lost his touch? As one of the guys who's one of the best offensive coordinators for the Steelers, that offense was electric. He was also for the Chiefs and the Cardinals, where they had Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer just cooking. And who else? And the Colts. And every time those other stops, there was a high, like those quarterbacks had a lot of yards, 4,000 plus yards, even with James Winston last year.
I think Tom Brady right now is in like the middle of those quarterbacks that Bruce Arians has coached. Like he's not as good as prime Big Ben or prime Andrew Luck. But I'm not even sure if he's as good as prime Jameis Winston at this point. Maybe not even prime Carson Palmer.
I don't know if Carson Palmer was necessarily.
Yeah, he wasn't his prime, but I don't even know if he's as good as washed Carson Palmer at this point. Because washed Carson Palmer wasn't throwing this many picks, I don't think. Let me fact check myself. I don't want to go spreading falsehoods.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's a no, risk it to get the biscuit type offense is what, ESPN likes to say. I think also Bruce Arians has said that you can't risk it to get the biscuit in this offense. Which is, yes, like it can be a big play offense, but you need a quarterback who has a big arm. Someone who I think who might benefit or maybe do well in this kind of offense, Dwayne Haskins. But that's another conversation later. I just thought that just popped up in my head because I think he'd be great for this offense. He has a big arm. He likes to let it fly with great talent around him. But the thing is like, when you're out here thinking that you're the best and all of a sudden your island is starting to shrink and you realize maybe I'm not at the top of the mountain as I used to think I was, and maybe I'm the person who's sinking this ship. And ho, is the Tom Brady the reason why the ship is not sinking? Is ship is sinking, is not sailing as fast as you thought it was going to be, Super Bowl or bust? Or is it the fact that the NFL is not the NBA, and you can't just load up your team with talent and expect it to be good? As you see, like, you can't just get a bunch of guys on one-year deals and expect these guys to just gel. Or maybe Bruce Arians is just not good, especially calling out all his players and just berating them. Maybe it's just a mixture of a lot of these things. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be. I did go back and check the stats on Carson Palmer, and his first year in Arizona, he threw 24 touchdowns and 22 interceptions. So it seems to be that first year in the Bruce Arians system for quarterbacks is really that pretty high touchdown interception ratio, or pretty low, I should say. Pretty high interception to touchdown, if you reverse it. But and then he also threw 11 picks in the third season after he got hurt in the second, and 14 picks in year 4. So I mean, he was throwing picks too. So I mean,
it's a high rate passing offense for sure. There's probably going to be a higher chance of interception with the amount of balls they're going to throw. But then if it's like, especially if you see, like James Winston had a high interception year the first year, and then I think it was stat where it's like after the second year and better, you start to see a little bit better TD to interception ratio. So then why do you get rid of Jameis Winston after 1 year, where literally this second year was prime for him to be good, be great? That's also a big thing you got to put into consideration as well. But I don't know if you touched on this, but this year Tom Brady has the worst completion percentage of a quarterback passing for over 20 yards. I mean, and this is no risk to get the biscuit offense. You need to complete passes deep to be able to keep this offense on rhythm and to keep it explosive and to do its thing. This is not the Patriots offense anymore. It's not a dink and dunk screen, tight end screen, pass over the middle of my tight end type offense. Like, we got some studs on the outside, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Godwin, even Miller. Guys who are playing good when they're not hurt, of course. And, he has to be able to facilitate. He has to be the Rajon Rondo. He has to be the Chris Paul. He has to be the Steve Nash and get the ball out of his hands and deep as well, which I don't think Tom Brady can do. Will he be back next year for sure because it's a 2-year deal? But then will that be beneficial for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Chosen Rose in 2022 is the question. Dwayne Haskins, maybe. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds for the Tampa
Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold will be good. I think if the Jets don't build around Sam Darnold still is young and he still has a lot of talent. He's out of that quarterback class, he still has the best talent to be good. And with a good supporting cast around him, I think he can be Buccaneers would be a great landing spot. Even the Indianapolis Colts will be a really good spot for him behind a good offensive line. But we'll talk more about that later date. But that's all for the primetime games. Let's get into some notable games that we had as well this week. One of the big games. We'll just get into it. We'll just go straight into the trash, and we'll go talk about the NFC East, right?
The NFC least.
Exactly. It's not a fun division to watch, but at the same time it is. Of course, I watch it every week. And of
it's
course,
a train wreck.
It is a train wreck. Those things that you don't want to watch.
Take your eyes away from it.
Exactly. But starting off, we'll talk about my team, of course, Washington football team taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, which this was a very up in the air team. 2-7 teams going into the game. 2-6 and 1 and 2-7 from the Washington football team. Both teams who have the 1 and 2 pick last year in the draft, so definitely not very good. Still not very good this year. But the biggest difference is Washington is competing right now for a championship, a division championship, which is crazy to say. First half was really, back and forth. Cincinnati was cooking in the first half with Burrow. He was getting the ball out fast. He had a good touchdown to A.J. Green in the red zone. And offense was going move. Like, Joe Burrow was moving the offense. Then he suffered a very catastrophic knee injury, which turns out I think he tore his ACL, MCL, PCL, and meniscus, and a little bit of cartilage damage as well, which is you hate to see, especially from a very talented quarterback who was cooking all year long.
Yeah, Marcus Lattimore did.
Oh, yeah. And Marcus Lattimore definitely hasn't been the same since. I don't think he's played. Well, he might have played. I think he got a contract with the San Francisco 49ers, but that was kind of more about it. But I don't think he ever touched the field, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't think he did.
But you hate to see it. Definitely speedy recovery to Joe Burrow. Hopefully, they build around him and he can get back healthy. But after that injury, literally, the Cincinnati Bengals just deflate and just wasn't the same after that game. And then the next possession that Washington had, they went down the field and scored a touchdown. Alex Smith, not the big yardage performance he had last week, but 17 for 25, 166 yards and a touchdown. They ran the ball pretty well, had 16 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown from Antonio Gibson. He's been heating up. 7 touchdowns on the year for him, which rushing touchdowns, which is good. J.D. McKissick, 6 rushes for 43 yards. He also had 3 catches for 23. Terry McLaurin, Captain McLaurin, 5 catches for 84 yards on 7 targets. We won this game. I'm happy that we won because it sucks to lose. I hate to lose in general, but I hate that we won because it messes up our draft stock. But we are still top 5 right now, which is good. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. We can't really do anything right. We're still going to compete. We play against Dallas this week, so if we win this game, uh, we're possibly tied for first place in the division. Speaking of division, Dallas picked up a huge victory over Minnesota Vikings. Andy Dalton was cooking this week, coming back from COVID, coming back from injury. Had that offense rolling. CD Lamb was balling out. Um, I mean, the offense just looked a lot better. I mean, a million times better when Andy Dalton, a competent quarterback, was actually playing. Andy Dalton finished with 22 for 32 yards, 203 yards, and 3 tutties. Zeke ran for over 100 yards on 21 carries. And also, Tony Pollard had on 5 carries, 60 yards, and a tutty, which is good.
Including a 42-yard touchdown run.
So, I mean, that's.
So, I mean, this is Zeke's best game in a while, but they still might be looking to give him Pollard more touches because he just looks more explosive at this point in time.
He does.
Zeke, either his legs are shot or his conditioning isn't there, but he's not breaking off those big plays he was earlier in his career.
Very true. On the Vikings side, they featured Dalvin Cook heavy, 27 carries for 115 yards and a tutty. But Kirk Cousins, not a bad game. 22 for 30 for 314 yards and 3 tutties. Adam Thielen on 11 targets, 8 catches for 123 yards, 2 tutties, and Justin Jefferson on 3 catches, 86 yards and a tutty. Just couldn't get it done this week. No turnovers, Kirk Cousins, but I think there might have been, fumble that he lost. And Dalvin Cook also lost a fumble, which has been one of their biggest, Achilles heel is fumbling the ball. And Kirk Cousins, of course. But the Cowboys surprisingly get another victory, go to 3-7, and are in the mix. Every team in the NFC East has 3 wins, including the Philadelphia Eagles, who picked up a loss this week against the Cleveland Browns, who were in first place. They're 3-6-1 at the tie against Cincinnati. Carson Wentz stinks.
Big agree.
He's supposed to be this elite quarterback who got the big contract. He's just not showing it. He's not stepping up. A lot of fans are calling to see Jalen Hurts play more, to see what they got in him. We'll see if that happens. Doubt it. But the Cleveland Browns, as much as Baker Mayfield stinks as well in the same category as Carson Wentz, they just haven't paid him yet. 22, he was 12 for 22 for 204 yards, no tutties. But the feature of this team and what should be what you drive this team home is the rushing attack. Nick Chubb, 20 carries for 114 yards, and Kareem Hunt, 13 carries for 11 yards, which is not good average at all. But he did have a tutty. So they ran the ball, and they didn't give Baker Mayfield too many chances to fuck up. But he did have 2 fumbles and lost one this week. But still was was able to squeak out the victory, and the Cleveland Browns are in the playoff hunt still. Which, I guess we have to acknowledge and give respect to AFC North, because now the NFC North has 3 teams in playoff hunt, which is crazy. The Browns could sneak up on the Ravens.
The Ravens?
Is that possible? It's crazy. It still doesn't sound right that the Cleveland Browns are 7-3, because they stink. But they keep winning. They keep winning the game, which is they have a good formula of run the ball.
Run the ball, yeah.
And not have Baker Mayfield screwed up for you guys. And then this is with Myles Garrett out too as well, which is insane. What do you got to think about the NFC East though, Jonathan?
I don't know. I thought with the Eagles getting some guys back, they got Jason Peters back, they got Alshon Jeffrey back, Miles Sanders was back, Dallas Goedert is back, Zach Ertz should be back soon. I thought that they would be taking a leap and kind of running up or putting some distance in between them and the rest of the NFC East. and they don't look like they're going to do that. So it's still going to be wide open, it looks like.
It's the 10, baby.
It could be anybody's division, to be honest. Even the Giants, who stink, or Washington, who stinks.
The Giants I have to admit this, Giants have been starting to put it together. That defense is really what's been fueling that team. And even, I mean, Daniel Jones is running this team literally. He's leading the team in rushing. And, I mean, the Giants don't look too bad. I hate to say that. I really do hate to say that. They did beat us twice this year by close margins. But, I mean, I think the Giants could be a sleeper team. Of course, every team is everybody in their mama on ESPN, which I'm pretty sure they're in the pocket of Jerry Jones, are picking the Cowboys after 1 week of performance to win the division, of course, which they literally do that every year. They do that every year, like without fail. Yeah, it's I think they could be a sleeper team. Of course, I want to see our. Actually, I don't want to see my team win the division. I want us to secure a good draft pick, and then with the amount of cap space and draft pick, we can go to work again next year and year two. Shore up our secondary and linebacker core, and of course that offensive line and wide receivers. I want to see us do well, but yeah, NFC stinks. NFC East, excuse me, stinks.
Correct. Yeah, I really don't know who's gonna win. I still want to say Eagles, just because Carson Wentz at his peak is the best quarterback in that division. He hasn't been at his peak though, and they've been down guys all season. And even with getting some of them back, they still lost to the Browns. Some of that could be just the Browns are good. But
just can't admit it.
Yeah, no, they got Baker Mayfield as the quarterback, so that can't be it. Yeah, gun to my head, I'd still take the Eagles, but I don't feel good about it at all.
Okay. So let's travel up the Beltway, 295. You've been on that Beltway, 295 before. Let's go to Baltimore. And Baltimore had I guess it wasn't the AFC Championship game, was it? It was an AFC Divisional game last year against the Tennessee Titans. And man, oh man, did they get beat. They didn't get beat. Well, they went to overtime. Tennessee Titans picking up the victory, 30-24. And another team who is 7-3, Tennessee Titans, which they could have been better. They started off 5-3. 5-0, and then kind of 2-3 over the last 5 games. So they're trying to put it back together. And the Baltimore Ravens falling to 6-4. We've been talking about this last week that this offense hasn't been good, especially when they're behind. But the Baltimore Ravens were up by 11 points in this game and let the Tennessee Titans come back, storm back, we could say. The Titans so Ryan Tannehill threw for 22 for 31, 259, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Derrick Henry, 28 carries, 133 yards and a tutty. Corey Davis is a beast. Had a crazy touch. Oh no, it was AJ Brown. AJ Brown had a beast of a touchdown. But Corey Davis, I think, had some pretty big catches going into overtime. 5 catches for 113 yards and 7 targets. AJ Brown, 4 catches for 60 yards and a tutty, which that tutty was amazing. Just beast moding that thing into the end zone. Yeah, I don't know. The Tennessee Titans are a sleeper team. It's going to be interesting to see if they can beat out the Colts in the division. We'll see how they play. They have a good toughness and swagger about them, but they got to put it together and go on a run. And when the Tennessee Titans go on a run, they're hot. But a team that's been super cold has been the Baltimore Ravens. And they just can't seem to get it together. Now, after this game, they have the entire running back room, minus Gus Edwards, testing positive, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram for COVID-19, which is tough, especially because, they want to run the ball. So does this mean that it's time for Lamar Jackson to sling it. What do you think, Jonathan?
No, I think it might be time for the Justice Hill breakout game that many fantasy football enthusiasts predicted some point last year. Never materialized. He's a second-year back from Oklahoma State. Who's a pretty good athlete, but he hasn't really had the opportunity to produce in that fashion yet. We'll see if he can take that step and show why he was highly regarded in the minds of so many fantasy analysts last year. But yeah, we need to see some of that MVP form from Lamar down the stretch, especially with the running backs out with COVID. He's going to have to put the team on his back, which he did last year. Hasn't really done with success this year. Really, they need to figure out how to get him, Mark Andrews, and Hollywood Brown on the same page, because it is just not there from him to them right now. And those are their two best pass catchers. So they need to have those three on the same page. They need to be clicking. And right now they're not, and they're paying the price for it.
Yeah, and you hope that next week they can get it together, but that's going to be a tough task when their next game is coming on Thursday, and they're playing against the 10-0 Steelers. So it's going to be very, very hard for them to get it together in a week, especially
if this game is played.
I
think I saw they had 7 positive tests in the last 2 days. So if that number keeps going up,
COVID's been heavy in this building for the last couple of weeks.
It's going to be probably moved or postponed to later in the season. I wonder what they would do if the Ravens can't play. If they would flex another game into Thursday night. Or I don't think they can do that. But
they just push the game, like the 12 o'clock game to like 4 and 4 o'clock, just to have like some, or maybe I don't know. Maybe just might have no night game.
They might just make him play it regardless. Like they have expanded practice squads this year for this reason. True. So if they have like 10 players who are out, they might say, "Hey, you got 16 guys on the practice squad.
Call them up."
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens with this game. I'm expecting the Steelers to win, though.
Yeah, keep it going. Their team has just been firing. They've been playing well, and they keep getting better each week. And we'll see if they try to chase after that don't say it season. You know what I'm saying? But next game, big notable game we have from this past weekend is, how about our dog, Deshaun Watson? We told him just to hold on until next season. We're going to find him some help. But picking up a victory after J.J. Watt really kind of had a fiery speech about just not coming to work happy and, hating losing. But a very impressive victory for the Texans this week, beating the Patriots, where we thought the Patriots were heating up and was going to sneak away to get into the playoffs this year, which they still can with their record currently. I think they are 4-6, so they have to win out to possibly even get a chance. Even though AFC is very loaded, so I don't even know if he does have a chance. But our dog Deshaun Watson had a 344-yard performance on 28 of 37 passing the ball and 2 tutties, and with a rushing touchdown, led the team in rushing this week on 6 carries for 36 yards. Yeah, very good performance here. Let's see.
Yes. Sorry.
4 pass defenses, 4 pass breakup, 4 swats for Watts. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say Deshaun spread the ball around. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 seems to be the magic number. 9 different receivers caught passes. Brandon Cooks had 4 catches for 85 yards. Jordan Akins, the tight end, had 5 catches for 83 yards. Will Fuller had 6 catches for 80 yards. And then Kiki Kuti had a touchdown and 2 catches for 10 yards. So, I mean, he spread the ball around. And we talked about Deshaun, and deservedly so. He had a good game, threw for 344 yards. But let's not sleep on Cam Newton's performance.
Okay.
26 of 40 passing the ball for 365 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions, no fumbles. He threw the ball to threw to 9 different receivers, but only completed to 8. So he didn't hit that 9 magic number, which is what these winning quarterbacks that we've talked about this week have hit. So that's what cost him. Somebody had a drop.
That he had to throw the ball as much as he did, 40 times, and them running the ball. That's 7. That's 8. That's 19, 24 times.
Yeah, 24 times for 86 yards. So I think 3.6 yards per carry. Not great. Sony Michel might be coming back soon, so that could be a boost for them there.
Yeah, I think Whitehead also got a knee injury this game as well, which is not Rex Burkhead. Excuse me, Burkhead.
Yeah, Rex Burkhead. I think he's out for the season.
So that's well for their backfield.
It is because he's kind of a do-it-all guy. Like he's Damian Harris and Sony Michel are seen as more as like strictly rushers. And James White has been mostly strictly a pass catcher over the last couple of years. Rex Burkhead's like the one guy who Bill Belichick trusts to do either. And that's been the case for the last 3 seasons, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a guy that they trust when James White needs a break. I combine James White and Rex Burkhead into James Whitehead. But Burkhead's a guy who they've used when James White missed time with I think when his parents got in the car accident.
Oh, yeah.
And he missed some time. Rex Burkhead's had some really big games then. And he's had some big games over the last couple of years, just sporadically. But, yeah, he's a big blow, losing him. And, yeah, that's an even bigger blow to Cam because he didn't really have that many weapons to start off with. His leading receiver this game was Demir Bird, who's on his 3rd team in 6 years, I want to say. They did spend time together in Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
So they do have chemistry, but if he's your number 1 receiver, it's not ideal. And that's no disrespect to Demir Bird. I like him a lot. He's a good deep threat, but I don't think he should be counted upon as a number 1 wide receiver.
Is Harry hurt?
No, he just stinks.
Mm.
He had 5 catches for 41 yards on 8 targets. Jacoby Myers, who had a big game, was it 3 weeks ago? He had 3 catches for 38 yards. Dante Moncrief, who I didn't even know was on this team, had 1 catch for 15 yards.
Didn't he used to play for the Colts?
Yes. Ryan Izzo, the tight end, had 2 catches for 59 yards. So that's good because they haven't really utilized the tight end in this offense very much this year, mostly because the tight ends kind of stink. It's Ryan Izzo who's been like a journeyman. throughout his career, and then 2 rookies in Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene. But yeah, not a lot of weapons to start off with. You lose Rex Burkhead, so now you're down another one. And Cam still played a pretty good game. Threw for 365 yards, no interceptions, didn't lose a fumble. But yeah, he just couldn't pull it out against Deshaun Watson. And there's no shame in that because Deshaun Watson is amazing.
He is. And so that's that game. One of the last notable games that we're going to talk about this week. We're going to talk about the barn burner of a game between the Packers and the Indianapolis Colts. This game was great. Um, as I said before, like the Colts are just a team I didn't really know. Like they show flashes, but then they have bad losses to the Jacksonville Jaguars week 1. They have weird losses. They have games they decide not to win. They should. But they've been hot. They're 7-3, another 7-3 team. Same with the Green Bay Packers. Both teams are 7-3 after this week. Colts picking up a 34-31 victory. Philip Rivers has been coming alive these last couple of weeks. 24 for 36, 288 yards and 3 tutties. Jonathan Taylor, 22 carries for 90 yards. Pretty good performance. Michael Pittman's been playing well since he came back. With 3 targets, 3 catches for 66 yards, and a tutty. Zach Fiscal, 3 catches for 54 yards. Ty, 3 catches for 36. Definitely spreading the ball around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 different receivers caught a pass this week for the Colts. Defense is stout. Got interception on Aaron Rodgers, which is a big play. Aaron Rodgers, doing Aaron Rodgers things, 27 for 38, 311 yards, 3 tutties. He has been doing a little bit more interceptions so far this year, but it's still Aaron Rodgers, and he does great. Aaron Jones, 10 carries for 41 yards and a tutty. Devontae Adams, a big game if you had him in your fantasy, 7 catches, 106 yards and a tutty. Marquez Valdez Scantling, 3 catches for 55 yards. Robert Tonyan, 5 catches, 44 yards, and a tutty. You love to see that for him. But yeah, this is a very good game. Colts just have a good defense. They was able to score enough points to win the game. Phil Rivers has been looking good. Even though Phil Rivers has been looking good, it's still free Jacoby. We still think a good starting quarterback could be great. Especially for this team next year. We'll see. Both quarterbacks are both not under contract next year, so we'll see what they decide to do. Should be interesting because I don't think Phil Rivers I don't even know if Phil Rivers have another year after this. I think he's going to give everything he's got after this year, to be quite honest with you. What do you think about this game between the Packers and the Colts?
I don't know. I've said all year long that I can't tell if the Colts are for real or not. This game makes me think maybe they are, or maybe it's the Packers who aren't for real. I don't know. The Packers' defense is bad. You should definitely be able to win a game scoring 31 points, which is what the Packers put up. But that defense allowed the Colts to put up 34. And they've struggled in big games. Even last year, going back to the playoff loss against the 49ers. They just can't really get a stop when they need it in big-time games. You saw what the Bucks did to them in that primetime game. They struggled against the Jags last week. They lost to the Vikings 3 weeks ago. And that was after the 38-10 loss to the Bucks. So just let's see. They've given up, going back to week 1, 34, 21, 30, 16, 38, 20, 28, 17, 20, and 34 points. So that's like 5 games over 30 points.
Like,
Certainly not ideal. And I think that's what's costing them because the offense has been a little bit sporadic this year. But the defense has just been bad pretty much every game. So consistent, but not in the way you'd like to see.
right.
I think they need to get that defense figured out. I don't know what they need, whether it's a linebacker. They don't really have that stud in the middle of the defense who can kind of hold it down, call plays for him. I don't know if it's just the defense coordinator, Mike Pettin, with his calls.
He's playing like he still coaches for the Cleveland Browns. They stink.
Basically, he still got that Brown stink on him, and the Browns seem to have washed themselves of it this year. So I don't know. Their defense stinks. The Colts defense, a lot of people have been sleeping on it this year. It's really good. They got Julian Blackman at safety, who's a lot of people are saying is the defensive rookie of the year candidate. He is really good. I don't know if I'm ready to say he's the leader in the clubhouse, but he's certainly up there. I'm still a big Jeremy Chin guy. Biased, I know, but I don't care. Antoine Winfield of the Bucks is another defensive rookie to keep an eye on, and then obviously Chase Young, who hasn't really had a lot of sack production, but if you look at his pressure rates, he's still really affecting quarterbacks that way.
Getting triple team already in his career, which is insane. Just to think of, but Montez Sweat has been eating and feasting, and Tim Settle, who has I think 5 sacks on the season, 4 or 5 sacks, which is pretty good. So just it shows that depth of that defensive line.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't. If these two were to play again in, well, I guess it would have to be the Super Bowl because they're AFC and NFC. But if they were to play again later in the year, I would probably pick the Packers again, even though the Colts won this game.
You never know how far Phillip Rivers' arm is going to take, especially when it starts getting cold.
Exactly. I think Phillip Rivers is going to have that Drew Brees issue where he just kind of wastes his arm in the regular season, and then by the time they make it to the playoffs, it's just shot, and he can't really throw the ball anymore.
Well, he can't really throw the ball now. I don't understand his awkward arm angle, how he throws it. But
I don't think anybody does, including him. But it's working right now, and that's the important thing. We'll see how long he can maintain that. I personally don't have faith in him to, and I've long been a Phillip Rivers fan. I just don't. I think he's getting too old, man. To me, he's kind of in that Peyton Manning final year after he had the thigh injury, where he was just throwing ducks.
yeah,
I don't think Phillip Rivers is quite that washed yet, but he's certainly approaching that status. And who knows when it's going to come. It could come out of nowhere. Just that arm and his body in general gets fatigued. That velocity could go. But the offense has taken a step. Like you said, Michael Pittman coming back, which has kind of coincided with Phillip Rivers' like mid-season resurgence. Michael Pittman is really good. T.Y. Hilton still hasn't been as productive as his fantasy owners and the Colts would like, but he doesn't look washed, so that's a plus. Trey Burton, I think he came back like week 8. He's looked good. And I think, is Paris Campbell back?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
Maybe get him back.
if they get him back, yeah, because he's a deep threat who can kind of keep defenses honest, take the top off, open things up underneath for everybody else. Jonathan Taylor is really good, but he's been facing some loaded boxers. Yeah, Naheem Hines is the pass catching back who's had some really big games this year. So I do like their talent around Phillip Rivers. If his arm can hold up, I do think they could make a playoff run, but that's a big if for me.
True. All right, so we're about to go to the college ranks, but we got a little bit of a commercial message for you, so we're just going to take a quick second break, and we'll be right back.
Peyton uses football to teach valuable lessons of communication.
Check. Watch the sale. Pink, watch the blitz. Brown, 55 Razor. Done. Open, get open. Get your head out of your ass. You suck. Let's go. Get back in here. Let's go. Except you. I can't even look at you. You know what? Go sit in the portal for 20 minutes. That's right.
You gotta love it.
That's a pretty good ad, considering I just mentioned Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the ad was coming up. CJ like surprised me with these. But yeah, that was a nice little coincidence there.
It was perfect. Everything just worked out perfectly. Speaking of perfectly, let's bring to the college ranks, and not a so perfect weekend for teams as the University of Maryland and Clemson because COVID had a huge part in their weekend. Maryland have to cancel a second game in a row. Coach Locke got tested positive for COVID, and also a player for Clemson, I believe, tested positive for COVID, traveled to Florida State. And Dabo Swinney can't seem to let it go that Florida State didn't want to play this game. Not a good look for Dabo Swinney whatsoever.
It's not a good look for the ACC in general. It's the fact that they put Florida State in a position where Florida State had to say, we don't want to play this game, instead of the ACC saying, hey, there was a player who tested positive who made this trip, so we are going to cancel or postpone this game. They are just kind of it's like when you call leftovers and your sibling goes and starts eating them, and you complain to your mom that you called those leftovers, and your mom's just like, hey, if you want it, go get it back. And they just kind of mom just kind of lets you fight it out between yourselves. That's what the ACC is doing with Clemson and Florida State. They're just kind of letting this all play out in the media. However, not a good look for Dabo. I agree. But I get why he's angry. Clemson did meet the ACC criteria to play the game. They followed the rules as the ACC set them. And we are in a pandemic, and colleges aren't immune from that. So, I mean, they're short on cash too. Clemson just cut, I think, the men's track team. So they're cutting sports programs, and then the spend, I think I saw $300,000 was the price on travel to Florida State, just for Florida State to say, yeah, we're good on that. I mean, I can see why he's definitely rubbed the wrong way, and he definitely has the right to feel agitated, but he's got to have a sense of diplomacy, and he can't say the things he said.
Yeah, Dabo Swinney has been kind of on the sus meter for probably a year now with a lot of his comments. A lot of things he's done. I mean, we understand he is from the great state of South Carolina, but ever since this pandemic started, he definitely hasn't cared, and especially with a lot of kids testing positive over the summer with COVID, and also with his. I'm not. I don't want to speculate that he's a big Trump guy, but I mean, they did go to the White House when they won the national championship and made a. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, a claim about like, oh, we're going to go to the White House. Like, my guys ain't going to. I don't know. That was really. I mean, he's beloved by a lot of people. His Southern charm in the national media, winning games, beating the juggernaut Alabama. But now that he's kind of on top, you gotta get a little peek into what he's really about. And I'm not sure I'm a big fan of Dabo anymore. But we'll see. I mean, he's winning games, and as long as you're winning, that cures all. Am I right? Which has been the standard. But definitely not a good look for coach of football. We'll see how this story or non-story progress going forward. We got to talk about it because it's for the brand, it's for the pod, it's for us. Hate2Pylon. We love Jamie Chadwell and the Coastal Carolina Cavaliers. I watched this game, and I was scared first half. App State was giving them boys the business. They were playing well. Offense wasn't really, moving the ball as well in the first half. App State getting some big plays, some big turnovers when they needed to, and it was a very close game. But in the second half, Coastal was able to get some touchdowns and get some stops. That defense really started to rally and pick up the victory this past week, and to remain undefeated, which is good for the brand. You love to see it. Let's see.
Yeah, it was really like the last 5 minutes of the game, because they were down in the fourth quarter, and then they scored twice in the last 2.5 minutes. They had offensive touchdown and then a pick six that kind of put the game out of reach, because they were down 23-21 with 12 minutes left in the fourth. Then scored with 2.5 minutes to go, and then had a pick six with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. So, I mean, it was a really close game. It was a really good game. It was exciting.
Had a championship feel to it, because I mean, this pretty much was a championship for the Sun Belt, at least in East Division, which is really good for them.
Yeah, Coastal still has a big game coming up against no longer undefeated Liberty in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it was NC State or Vautech. No, it was NC State, right? Yeah, it was NC State. They lost about 1 point. They lost by one.
Yeah.
But I think Liberty is still pretty ranked high. Actually, they're ranked 21st in the rankings. We'll get to that a little bit later. So they're one position behind the 20th ranked Coastal. So definitely a big game for both teams.
No, I think that was their ranking. I don't think they're ranked anymore.
They were 25th last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, they are not ranked in the rankings we're going to go over in a little bit.
Okay. So, yeah, 2 weeks for a big matchup. They still got a lot to play for, so we'll see how that turns out. Another big game we had this week, at least we were speculating going into, was Ohio State versus Indiana. The game kind of started off a little tough. It was a good game. It was kind of back and forth a little bit. Justin Fields was under a lot of pressure and duress through some interceptions. I think he ended up with 3 interceptions in the game, threw 2 early. So, thinking, okay, Indiana might, do something. But that offense at first just couldn't really get the engine started per se. But they did have a big, long pass up over the middle for, I forget his name. I'm not even going to speculate what his name is, but Indiana definitely had an opportunity to really kind of, the game kind of went ebbs and flows. Like it was close in the beginning, then Ohio State started running away with it, but in the end, Indiana started to come back and try to, make it a close game, losing 42-35. But definitely Ohio State was way too much for Indiana. But Indiana, they showed some moxie. That defense played pretty well for the most part in the early on. But just Justin Fields is too good. Ohio State is too talented. The offense, Indiana's offense just couldn't compete and keep up. What do you think?
Yeah, Ohio State. I think in the end, the 5 stars won out over the 4 and 3 stars of Indiana. Not to say Indiana's a bad program, but there is a bit of a talent gap there, recruiting wise, and it did affect this game. But what kept Indiana in the game was quarterback Michael Penix Jr. Penix. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. I'm going to go with Penix just because Penix sounds like something else. So Michael Penix Jr. threw for almost 500 yards, 491, and 5 touchdowns to 1 interception. So, as compared to Justin Fields, who threw for 300, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So he outplayed Justin Fields. Now he did have to throw the ball 51 times compared to 30 for Justin Fields. Because Ohio State had a much better running game in this one with, let's see.
Master Teague.
Yeah, Master Teague ran 26 times for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trey Sermon, the Oklahoma transfer, had 9 carries for 60 yards. And Justin Fields himself added 15 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. Compared to Indiana,
I don't think they run the ball.
they did not run the ball well. Let's see. James had 3 carries for 10 yards. Scott had 7 carries for 6 yards. And then Michael Penix Jr. had 3 carries for -2 yards, which also factors in sack yardage. So factoring in the sack yardage, they had -1 yards on 16 carries. Not ideal.
At all.
But yeah, it was his arm that kept him in the game. 491 yards, 5 touchdowns. And the hands of Ty Freifogel, the wide receiver, he caught 7 catches, or he caught 7 passes, for 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. The dude just looked unstoppable. But yeah, it was a very high-scoring game, exciting, and big Big Ten matchup. So a good
2 top 10 teams.
Yeah, 2 top 9 teams. But a good feather in the cap for Ohio State's college football playoff resume.
Number 3 right now.
Which those rankings just dropped earlier this evening. And we'll be going over them.
Before we get to the rankings, one more game we got to talk about, or actually a couple more games we got to talk about. Cincinnati had a tough one against UCF. UCF gave them a lot early on, but Cincinnati was able to. Let me get this. Pull up this game. My scores are. Where we at? Cincinnati getting the victory, 36-33, a very tough performance. UCF was playing really good football. National champions a couple years ago was number 7. Cincinnati really trying to get their case for the playoff this year. Um, Tough victory, but they pulled it off by 3. Cincinnati a pretty good team, but UCF gave them the business this week.
Yeah, it was a good quarterback duel between Dylan Gabriel of UCF and Desmond Ritter of Cincinnati. Gabriel completed 26 of 49 passes for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, and interception. And Desmond Ritter completed 21 of 32 passes for 338 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I believe he added 14 carries, 57 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Dylan Gabriel added 30 yards rushing on 11 carries. So 2 dual threat guys going head to head. Cincinnati came out on top. I think, Cincinnati outrushed UCF 144 to 116. So that might have played a bit of a difference there in the score. And then turnover battle was even. Dylan Gabriel threw a pick, and Cincinnati lost a fumble. So 1-1 there. So pretty balanced, evenly matched game, I should say. Cincinnati pulled it out, and they were ranked number 7 for a reason. And they're looking like a top 10 team. So we'll see if they can sneak into the college football playoff potentially. But like CJ said, we'll get to that later. We still have a couple more games.
Yeah. I'm just going to rattle off a couple games. We don't have to get into it, but there's one game I do really want to get into. So just notable scores. You got Oklahoma picking up the victory in the in-state rival against Oklahoma State, 41-13. Pac-12 action, Oregon going 3-0 against UCLA, 38-35, very close game there. Upset of the week, Northwestern beating number 19 Northwestern beating number 10 ranked Wisconsin 17-7. Also, you have BYU, number 8 ranked BYU, beating North Alabama 66-14 with Zach Wilson, draft prospect, 10 for 16, passing 212 yards and 4 tutties. Pretty impressive performance. Kyle Trask doing Kyle Trask things, having 31 touchdowns total in the season. Throw for 383 yards, as well as Florida picked up another victory over the 0-7 Vanderbilt, 38-17. And the game that I guess we can talk before we get to that game. Alabama taking care of business against Kentucky, 63-3. Mac Jones, 2 touchdowns, 230 passing. And the game that we all want to talk about, the performance that we want to talk about, and I'm talking about them damn dogs. You know what I mean? I'm talking about.
This is the dogs! It's the Sandler, baby! This is how we do it for the dogs! Go, Georgia! Woo!
Go, Georgia!
Hunter gotta chill.
But very big dub this week.
J. Daniels season
came to play 28 for 38, 401 yards, and 4 tutties. Throwing to Jermaine Burton, who came to play 8 catches, 197 yards, and 2 tutties. Standout performances by both. Georgia has a passing attack, which is a miracle. Especially going against a team, Mississippi State, who is an air raid, throw the ball a million times, and hope and pray. I'm very excited for JT coming back. I mean, Stetson Bennett did his job for the most part, but we knew he wasn't really the answer. We was waiting for JT Daniels. The question that I have is, JT Daniels had to been hurt, sick, COVID, something, for him not to be playing these past weeks, especially those big games that we lost. Um, but I'm excited that he's back now, and hopefully we can continue on a strong push for the playoff or a primetime bowl game this year. Um, but you love to see it. You love to see it.
Yeah, no, it was good to see Georgia have some life at the quarterback position. Uh, I'm I like JT Daniels. I thought he should have been the starter from day one. Um, I think JT Daniels' presence is probably partially contributed to Jamie Newman opting out of the season when he transferred from Wake, and then found out that JT Daniels was transferring from USC. But yeah, I mean, he looked really good. He got Pickens was back. He got him involved as well. So between uh, Pickens, Burton, and Kiaris Jackson.
Hmm.
Yeah, Kiaris Jackson. I mean, it looked like they got a pretty good little trio there, wide receiver. And we'll see if they can keep it going against who do you play next week?
Good question.
South Carolina.
Oh, baby! I'm excited.
And you definitely should, because as we stated on last week's podcast, South Carolina lost basically their whole secondary to opt-outs.
Yeah, Georgia finishes with South Carolina, Vandy, and then I guess the postponed rescheduled game of Missouri. So two pretty good, easy games. Missouri's 3-3 right now, so he has a good chance of finishing strong and bolstering that resume for the playoff. Well, not really, because not really a strong team, but you want to get these wins, convincingly so. Um, yeah, it's really exciting. I'm really excited for JT Daniels to really continue to build on what he did this past week. Especially just the way his footwork was in the pocket, the way he just looked calm. Like once he kind of got his feet under him after the first quarter or so, I mean, the way he just looked like a pro quarterback. The way his footwork was, the way he just kind of moved around in the pocket, up and around, very impressive. I definitely see him making potential for the next level. Um, but hopefully he can, continue to bolster his draft stock in Georgia and get us to a SEC championship and a national championship in the next year or two.
Yeah, I mean, he did miss a couple of deep throws. I'm not sure if that was
But I think he has some nerves and he's still trying to, but you hit a dime. You hit a dime
Oh
later.
yeah.
That yeah.
No, he did throw some dimes, but I don't know if I think there was 2 or 3 he missed on deep. I don't know if it was chemistry or nerves, because one was early in the game, one was later. So nerves wouldn't really make sense because I feel like the one by the end of the game he would have settled in.
Right.
It could have just been a chemistry issue because if he hasn't been named the starter, we don't know how many snaps he was getting at practice, especially with the other starters. So he could just be developing chemistry with those guys, which is a scary thought considering he threw for 400 yards with limited chemistry. If they can get that down, look out, especially next year.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, I don't think they'll be making a playoff push this year. Probably playing for a bowl game, though. They have 3 very winnable games to close out the season. Finish strong, win your bowl game, and then move on to the next year. But yeah, I liked what I saw from him.
So now the moment we've been waiting for. Let's go over the newly released college football rankings, the first one of the season, and this is something we've been very eager to see and to really find out about, especially with this crazy season that we have. Jonathan, you have the rankings.
Yeah, I got him. So, number 1, Alabama. Not really a surprise there. They've looked like the best team in the country for the most part, even with losing Jalen Waddle, who was their number one or number two receiver, depending on the week, with him and Devontae Smith. They're both really good. But he's out for the year now, and they haven't really missed a beat. Number two is Notre Dame, buoyed by the big win against Clemson, who comes in right behind them at number three. Number four is Ohio State. I don't really have any qualms with that top four. I think that's pretty fair, to be honest. Number five, Texas A&M. That one feels like a bit of a stretch for me, especially considering number six is Florida. I would have Florida over Texas A&M right now.
Yeah, Florida's been playing great football.
Yeah, I know.
They only have 6 games too, which is like 5-1. Like, I was kind of shocked by Texas A&M because I feel like I haven't seen them play much. But
well, it's because they beat Florida in the head-to-head matchup. That's probably why they're ahead of them. But I feel like body of work, you still got to go Florida. But I can see why Texas A&M is above them because they did beat them in a head-to-head matchup. Number 7 is somebody we talked about earlier, Desmond Ridder and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Number 8, another school we talked about earlier with your upset of the week, Northwestern.
Sure.
Number 9 is your Dogs. Number 10, the University of Miami. Number 11, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. She's going.
Yep, coming off the big win over Oklahoma State. Number 12, Indiana, coming off that loss against number 4, Ohio State. Number 15, Iowa State, who's 6-2. That also feels high to me. I don't think Iowa State should be 13. Number 14, this feels very low for this team. Zach Wilson and BYU. I feel like they should, if not top 10, then right outside like that 11 to 12 range.
Yeah, AP's in AP top 25, they are number 8 ranked, and then in college football, they're down to 14. Huge drop off right there.
Yeah, it's a big discrepancy. And the AP feels more fair to me than the college football playoff with the BYU ranking. Right after BYU, 9-0, BYU is 3-0 Oregon. So that's one thing to keep an eye on with this college football playoff ranking is because the conferences started at different times. The standings for teams are very different in their records, as there's a 6-game discrepancy in between BYU and Oregon. And Wisconsin has also played 3 games. They're 2-1. They're 16th, so next up behind BYU and Oregon. Coming in at number 17, 5-2 Texas. Coming in at 18, undefeated University of Southern Cal. JT Daniels' former team. They look like they're not missing him too much at the moment. Number 19.
He was undefeated at Georgia, by the way. So there you go.
He is undefeated at Georgia, but is Georgia undefeated?
I didn't say Georgia. I said JT Daniels.
I heard what you said.
Hey, let's keep it up. Let's keep it undefeated. Let's keep him undefeated as a starter.
All right. Number 19 is 6-2 North Carolina. Number 20, this also feels like a snub. Are Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. I feel like they should be around that 12 to 15 range as well. Um, just a couple spots behind BYU. Um, coming at 21, 7-0 Marshall. Do they have any big games coming up? Not really. They play no, that game's postponed. They just play Rice and Florida International. So they don't really have any big games coming up. So I don't really see them making a jump towards that top 10. Maybe if some other teams ahead of them lose and move back, they could have potential to jump up, but not enough to really be in the conversation for the college football playoff. Number 22 is 5-2 Auburn. They have games coming up against Alabama this week. Number 1 Alabama, I should say. Number 5 Texas A&M next week, and then Mississippi State. So they have potential to make some noise if they can win these next 3 games.
They can shake up the rankings for sure.
Yeah, they'd be taking out 2 top 5 teams, which could put them in conversation for a top 5 slot. We'll see. Number 23, Oklahoma State, 5-2. I don't really think they're going to be contenders for a playoff spot. Number 24, Iowa at 3-2. They also don't feel like serious contenders. And number 25, at 5-1, we have Tulsa. For a non-Power 5 team to make the playoff, they have to go undefeated, and Tulsa's sitting at 5-1, so I don't really see them making the playoff either. But that is the college football playoff top 25 rankings for week 13. Ahead of week 13, I should say. That's the first set of college football playoff rankings released this year. We'll see who rises and who falls coming up this week. I'm excited to see Clemson play. It's been a month since Trevor Lawrence has played football because of COVID. He missed 2 games, then a postponement last week. So it's been
some time.
A month. Yeah, he last played on Halloween. No, he didn't play on Halloween. I lied. He last played against Syracuse on October 24th with DJ Uiagalelei taking over against Boston College on Halloween on October 31st. And then the double overtime loss against Notre Dame on the 7th. And then no game last week. So, yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen Trevor Lawrence play. And I doubt we are the only ones excited to watch him play because he is the presumptive number 1 overall pick. So I'm sure there's some NFL front office guys eager to get another look at him.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah,
that's already strong.
Oh, it's already very strong. But, he hasn't played in a month. Justin Fields has been playing for the last month. So, I've heard that there's some people who have moved Justin Fields ahead of Trevor Lawrence. We'll see. Because, this is how their high school rankings went when these two were were graduating from high school. Trevor Lawrence was ahead of Justin Fields basically the whole way. He committed to Clemson, and then Justin Fields shot ahead of him and took the number 1 spot for most recruiting sites like ESPN and I think Rivals as well. But, we'll see if Justin Fields can do it again. He's shown that he's capable of it once. We'll see if he will do it again. I personally don't see it happening, but if he does, I wouldn't hate it because I think I would rather have Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville than with the Jets because the Jets stink.
Actually has some nice little weapons. I mean, and possibly a run game as well. Do you want him in the hands of a Jay Gruden? We'll see.
Oh no, he's going to be gone. But they do have weapons, and the Jets stink. They're on 0-16 watch, as you said. Before we started, I've been saying for several weeks now that I don't think they're going to win a game. And it just doesn't look like they are. They're very bad. Very, very bad.
First team to 10 losses this year was saying at the same time the Steelers was the first team to 10 wins. But
yeah, that's tough.
Transitioning from the shit of the New York Jets organization to the trash run, guys, and hold your horses. Here we go. Are you ready for this trash run intro?
Let's see it.
Here we go.
Oh, I love trash. Trash.
In life, you have to take the trash out. If you have trash in your life, take it out. Throw it away. Get rid of it. Major key.
Get shit on! Your ass! Your ass!
I love it because it's trash. Yes, I love trash.
This is the worst.
And we are celebrating the worst in the trash run this week. What did you think of that intro?
Oh, I haven't seen a major key since like 2016, so that was a throwback right there. I liked it there. Yeah, you got a little bit of everything. You got some Sesame Street, you got some Office, you got some DJ Khaled. In your bag, huh?
I think I'm in my bag right now.
I see you.
But, okay, so we got our first offering. The first offering we're going to go in to the trash run. Let's go with the Bengals offensive line. And, I mean, this is something we talked about. There's been talked about a lot about the offensive line, but it definitely came to the forefront this week, especially after Joe Burrow suffering this, catastrophic knee injury. I mean, you have a franchise stud quarterback. You have to protect him. And the fact that they haven't been able to do it all year, he's been getting hit like bad. Like he's been rocked a lot this season. I mean, some of it was on him with learning how to slide or going a little too hard. But you got to protect your franchise. This is what happened with Andrew Luck. They were literally just too late to try to, too little, too late to do. Well, it was a lot. Their offensive line's pretty good now, but throughout the hits and the years that Andrew Luck was playing, I mean, that was one of the biggest, factors of him retiring early. A great superstar talent, number 1 overall pick. Same thing with Joe Burrow. You don't want to see a talent as good as those two retire early. And the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, right in the trash.
Bye-bye.
Jonathan, what's your next offering?
My offering is washed king Tom Brady.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and throw him and his 2 interceptions in the trash for me, CJ.
Yep.
Bye-bye, Tom. See what happens when you don't cheat?
You expose your talent, which you got none. All right. The next one has to go to the Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles, a team who's in first place, who's letting it slip through their fingers with terrible play. Carson Wentz, you got paid a big bag. You're supposed to be this great quarterback from North Dakota State, which hopefully the North Dakota State quarterback tree can continue to succeed in the NFL. Maybe another second overall pick this year, maybe third overall. Who knows what could happen? Um, just this is supposed to be a team that's getting healthy. We talked about this earlier. This is supposed to be a team that's getting better. Carson was supposed to be this great quarterback. Quote Dan Orlowski will love to say it, but I just don't see it. He's so streaky. He's just like his predecessor, Nick Foles, a streaky quarterback. You don't know if you're going to get the good wins or you're going to get the bad wins. And most of the time, you're going to get the bad wins. And when we get bad wins, we take them straight to the trash.
Correct. Bad wins is very bad. But peak wins is pretty incredible. So, I mean, you got to take the highs with the lows.
Very highs and very lows. It's
correct.
Some bipolar stuff right there.
Yes.
Also, a team going into the trash run, the Detroit Lions, putting up a goose egg up against your Carolina Panthers. What do you got to say about that?
I mean, what can I say? Everybody knows the Panthers' defense is elite. Some are calling it the best in the league.
Okay. Just like you and just like the Detroit Lions, we're going straight to the trash there. That was a trash take. But very bad performance by the Lions. Not even scoring a point against the Carolina Panthers after giving up a bunch. I guess they just, didn't have any more points to give up this week and finally was able to stop the bleeding playing against the Buccaneers. And the last team to go in the trash run this week, and I mean, I've been wanting to put them in the trash run for a while. I don't know if I put them in the last week or not. I can't remember or not. But Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are going into the trash run this week. A team who looks so good, who started off undefeated, and hasn't been able to just look right. They don't smell right. The team, most of the players on the team can't smell or taste anything right now, let alone taste a W.
Because they got the Rona.
They got the Rona bad in the building, and of course we want everyone to recover healthy and everything like that. But their play has not been good. Lamar Jackson's calling out his offensive coordinator on TV. You can't do that during the middle of the season. We know Greg Roman stinks. His expiration date is up. So what are the Baltimore Ravens going to do and how they're going to respond? You know what? They're going to respond by going straight into the trash run this week. Get out of here. You guys stink. Any other people going into the trash run?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah. Wait, hold up. I have a live report right now coming from the New York Jets organization. Hold up. We're going live to there. Okay. We're going live to the New York Jets facility right now. Hold on. Okay. Yep, so another dumpster fire over there. It stinks really bad in New York. And that, my friends, is all that we have for the trash run. So we're going to give a nice little outro. Here we go. You ready for this? And all you guys stink, you get out of here. Once we take out the
mood.
big moods over here. All right, so going from a shitty situation to the best standouts. We're going to the Pylon standouts for this week. And yeah, we're gonna start off. I'm gonna give a big shout out to. There's a lot of big wide receiver play this week, and that's definitely coming from Los Angeles Rams. We got two studs, as we talked about it earlier. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, both going over 10 catches and over 100 yards. Crazy performances, getting it done. If you had them in your PPR league, I bet you guys were just snutting all over your pants, and it was a good performance and much needed performance for both these guys. So you gotta love it. You gotta love the performance that you guys put on, and we're going to give you guys a round of applause.
Yeah, the two of them definitely looked really good. Like you said, over 10 catches and 100 yards each. That's crazy, and it must be something in that Los Angeles water, because we have another Los Angeles receiver, this time Chargers receiver Keenan Allen, who had a monster game, and every week he just mocks me because I traded him for Michael Thomas in week 2, thinking Michael Thomas would only be out like a week or two with his high ankle sprain, and then he would be back to the monster he had been the last couple of years. And instead, it's Keenan Allen who was the monster this week and most weeks since that trade. And I love to see him prosper because he's been one of the most underrated players in the league for the last couple of years.
Yes.
But it hurts. It hurts to see him do so well.
I believe he had over 100 yards and 10 catches in the first half of that Jets game.
He did indeed.
Killer performance, and he did great for me. What's my highest point total this week for my fantasy team? Going again, picking up another victory, which is much needed. I got about 3 more weeks left into my fantasy playoff. I'm super excited. Or maybe 3 or 2 more weeks. I can't remember, but I'm pretty hot right now, and I don't know if I'm gonna cool off. We'll see.
Must be nice.
I'm trying to go back to back, baby. That's what we're trying to do. I'm also staying in Los Angeles. We got to give a shout out to Justin Herbert, man. He was just cooking. He was throwing the ball. He slings the ball nicely. And now, unfortunately, with Joe Burrow getting hurt, he's definitely for sure the clear runner for Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I mean, no one can knock him. I mean, I think if Tua can bounce back from a loss this past week and continue to play well, he could with statistical numbers just because of the wins per se. But Justin Herbert statistically has been a beast. 7 straight games with multiple touchdowns to start his career. The wins haven't eluded him, but they've been in a lot of close 1 point, 1 possession games. So hopefully they can figure that out, finishing off the season and next year, so Justin Herbert can reign dominant over this league for years to come. Justin Herbert versus Patrick Mahomes is matchup I want to see for the next 10 years.
Facts.
The next standout we got to talk about, we got to go to Carolina. We got to go right here in my backyard, Charlotte. The XFL MVP. Hold on. Before I do that, I don't think I gave a round of applause for these two guys.
There we go. Thank you, Shai.
One more. There we go. But back to Charlotte. PJ Walker starting in place of Teddy Bridgewater. XFL MVP leading the Houston Roughnecks to a 5-0 record before getting shut down. And coming in and stepping up and playing pretty well. Not as great as we would like to see, but he made some big throws, throw some touchdowns, showed he can run the offense. And not bad for his first start. 1-0, 1 start, 1 victory. You like those odds. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, it was good to see him throwing down the field. He had a pass I believe it was the first drive to DJ Moore, where he just kind of led him. The ball landed in front of DJ Moore, and he was able to fall forward for a couple more yards. Which doesn't sound that impressive, but it's one of the small things Teddy Bridgewater hasn't really been doing. So it was good to see that, and hopefully PJ can continue to do that if Teddy misses time. And if Teddy comes back, hopefully that's something he will pick up and take from PJ's performance, is that, okay, I haven't been leading receivers. PJ was, and it worked out pretty well for him. Maybe that's something I'll try, because he should.
Maybe they just give PJ the ball for the rest of the season and let him ride. And let that country. I would love to see it.
I would like to see it too. Like I said, my problem with signing Teddy this offseason was, I feel like that's what we should have done, was sign. Well, first of all, we had Kyle Allen at that point in time, and we drafted Will Grier in the 3rd round last year. So I just ride it out with those two, see what you have in them. If they're good, you have a good quarterback. If they stink, you're in a position to draft a quarterback this year. And Teddy's won some games, and it looks like we won't be able to draft a quarterback this year. But if you want to rock it out with PJ and Will Grier and see if one of them could potentially be the future, or if the combination of them can lead you to a quarterback in the top 5 who will be the future, I'm fine with that.
You do have to kind of be a little optimistic, even though you guys are winning games with the team that you have right now, that you guys are maybe not as far out as you think. Maybe you guys are in a reload situation instead of a rebuild situation. To where I think you guys are 4 wins right now on the season. Been very competitive all year, especially against the Chiefs. Could have been 5 wins this year. You guys have been very competitive in teams that you guys maybe shouldn't have won or maybe could have won. That has to feel good to where maybe you guys are maybe a year out from maybe getting a couple more big splash players, shoring up certain positions and being, possibly competing for the AFC South next year.
Yeah, and I think quarterback is one of the positions we're going to need to compete. I like Teddy, but I don't think he's ever going to take us to a Super Bowl unless he has studs around him at every level on the offense and the defense, which isn't really realistic given the salary cap and our draft assets at the moment. But yeah, I would rather take the hit, stink, and get a quarterback who can help set you up for future success than try to compete for a wild card spot when you know you're not going to win. And that's kind of how I feel about the team this year. And Teddy, I still like Teddy, but I don't think this team, as currently constructed, is good enough to make some noise in the playoffs. But I hope he proves me wrong. I would love to see the Panthers in the playoffs again. It's been a couple of years now since Cam got us there. But
yeah, it'd be cool. I get to experience that in living here in this area, see what the playoff city looks like, or feels like.
I don't
on it right now.
Definitely don't think we'll be hosting a playoff game, so you won't get to see.
You can see the bars if they win the game.
Oh yeah, the bars will be fine, but you won't get to see like the stadium.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I drive past the stadium like almost every day. Definitely now, definitely every
Not a playoff stadium.
It's not a playoff stadium. You're right. But
that'll be
PJ
next year for you. You can witness that playoff stadium next
PJ
year.
Walker might be the guy who takes you guys far.
I mean, he might be. That's what I'm saying. Teddy's got a banged up knee, so rest him, let him recover completely, which is something they never did with Cam Newton. He was always rushed back way too early, which led to him injuring his shoulder further, and then his foot when he had that injury against the Saints in the playoffs. I think he had a high ankle sprain before that because he clearly wasn't moving around like he typically does, which led to the foot injury. It's just horrible mismanagement by the Panthers. I would like to not see them repeat that with Teddy Bridgewater. And I would like to see what we have in PJ and Will Grier. So, yeah, I would say let PJ start again this week. If he struggles, turn to Will Grier, see what he has. If neither of them look like the future, that's fine. Keep playing them and go draft the quarterback who could be the future.
But the present right now, PJ Walker, we got to give you your round of applause.
Because he played a pretty good game for his first NFL start. And a fun fact about that is 2 years ago when he was on the Indianapolis Colts practice squad, his mom had a dream that he was going to be the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. So after the game, he told reporters that both his dream and his mom's dream came true on Sunday. So that was really cool.
That's really cool. Maybe he's the future. Let his mom premonitate you guys winning a Super Bowl with PJ Walker.
I hope so. I'm gonna send a Sandman tour with that right now. Hey, Sandman, you got that? Yeah.
2 more standouts we got for you this past week. You got to go to our dog, one of our favorite quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, with a stellar performance, 2 touchdowns through the air and a touchdown rushing, picking up the victory, a much-needed victory for them to kind of get that stink off them, that they can go happily lose the rest of the games of the season. But Deshaun is just too good to really do that. He probably going to sneak out maybe 2 more games to finish off. I don't know what the schedule are, but Deshaun Watson, here is your round of applause. And a quarterback that I did not really want to, but he's proved me wrong. The Steve Young of the league, that's what people keep saying. Taysom Hill, stellar performance, 2 rushing touchdowns. Well, he did well because against the Falcons. We'll give you your standout. We'll see what you do next week. You don't get the round of applause. We all shout out, but we need to see more.
What did they say about Lamar all last year? Pretty good for a running back. This was a pretty good game for a tight end.
There you go. So that's all we got for that. Stellar guys this past week. And just one more round of applause for the brand. Thank you, Shot. All right. So, boop, 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 boop. Do you like Thanksgiving, Jonathan?
I like Thanksgiving food.
And I like Thanksgiving food. And let me show you what I be like on my way downstairs when I hear food is ready. Gotta love it.
No, that's way too leisurely for me. When I hear that food ready, I be flying.
Okay, so you say you're a little hype. You be like, maybe like,
we're ready. We're ready to go out there and hit them every play right now, baby.
You ready? Okay, I got you. Okay, that's what's up.
That's me to the sides. I'm gonna hit all the sides every play.
I love it. I love it. Um, so yeah, we got a little bit of Thanksgiving picks coming for you guys. We got 3 games, hopefully this Thursday, and then we're gonna wrap up this long episode. No pylon picks this week. This will be our pylon picks for the week because it's Thanksgiving week. No episode on Thursday, of course, because we're going out eating and getting good deals, and being an essential worker. Shout out to you, Jonathan, for being an essential worker.
Thank you.
Michigan going back, shutting down again. So much props to you for keeping it going and keeping it steady. Just keeping it steady. The Lions on Thanksgiving Day. It's been tradition, even though they stink. But we get to see our guy Deshaun Watson possibly get the turkey leg and get the turkey. I forget what the turkey. Are they the turkey, something like that? But Houston Texans taking on the Detroit Lions. So again, like we said, the Houston Texans can sneak out a couple more victories this season. They're a tough team. Deshaun Watson is not going to sit around and lose. And we get to see Deshaun Watson on Thanksgiving. I think this is something he hasn't done. I think this might be his first time playing on Thanksgiving.
I believe so, yeah.
We get to see a holiday. This is probably when I get my first plate around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock time. So I'm looking forward to seeing some prime Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, this is really one of their last, I don't want to say winnable, but games where they could be favored in, because the next couple games are against the Colts, home against the Colts, at the Bears, at the Colts, home against the Bengals, and then home against the Titans. So the Lions. Yeah.
Are you talking about the Lions or talking about the Texans?
The Texans.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, the Texans, they got the Lions and the Bengals. Those are probably the only 2 games they'll be favored in. In that 6-game stretch. So, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Deshaun can squeeze out a few more wins. I'd love to see my guy prosper. Our guy, sorry. Don't want to cut you out.
Yeah. A little cold over here.
But yeah, it should be a good game. I'm going to give them the win. I'm going to say Lions 27. Or Texans 27, Lions 23. Sorry.
Okay, good score. I'm going to go with 24-17, one of my favorite scores I like to put out there. Texans getting the victory with my turkey, my green beans, ham, mashed potatoes, all that. Oh, my sauerkraut. Oh, I cannot wait for the sauerkraut. Delicious. So delicious. So good. Oh my God. My mom makes great sauerkraut. It's so good. It's like this tang. You mix it in with your stuffing and your mac and cheese. You get that little trio going. And then you got your ham. And you don't even use the fork for the ham. You just on the ham while you boom. I will be doing a Thanksgiving food review and what I'm thankful for on Inside the Box coming out in a couple weeks or so. Also got an episode with my mom we're going to be doing for during Thanksgiving dinner. That should be fun.
I forgot you got Thanksgiving sauerkraut. You might have to find a new podcast host.
What? Dude, Thanksgiving sauerkraut is delicious. I grew up on that, man.
Sauerkraut is delicious. Sauerkraut stinks.
Well, you don't like cabbage, so sauerkraut's pretty close to cabbage. Right? You don't like cabbage, right?
I don't like cabbage. I don't like anything pickled. Yeah.
I don't like lettuce either. Unhealthy eater.
I like lettuce. And I can eat cabbage. It's just not my favorite.
True.
But
good cabbage, man.
Yeah.
You might just ain't getting cooked right. You just haven't had it right. Come on down here. We'll get you a little plate.
I can't eat sauerkraut. I can't eat kimchi. I can't eat pickles. Nothing that's been soaked in vinegar.
So you don't like Carolina barbecue?
All right, nothing that's not meat that's been soaked in vinegar.
Okay. All right. So All right, that's the first game. This should be a good one. We have a tradition rivalry on Thanksgiving, which is if you're a football purist, you would love this. But if you watch the game, you might not love it. But it could be a very competitive game. You never really know between these two teams. But you got my Washington football team taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys definitely going through a lot today. They had a medical emergency at the facility with their, I want to say it was the strength and conditioning coach. There's been a lot of a lot of crazy reports going out with him. Not really sure of his status right now. Just know they had a medical emergency. I don't want to report on anything or say anything that didn't or possibly did or did not happen. But hopefully they can be able to get right because they got a game in 2 days. We'll see what happens with that. But it should be an interesting game. Last time they played, Washington had the easy dub. It's really just Cowboys did not look good. Definitely, this will be I will hate to say it, but this will be a revenge game for Andy Dalton, especially on John Ballstick, who gave him a concussion. And so we'll see
Dirty
what
hit.
happens. It was a dirty hit. So we'll see. Of course, I got to ride with my team, but I'm not feeling 100% about this one. I'm going to go 18-17 game. Washington squeaks it out.
Yeah, I mean, if Andy Dalton come out and play the way he did last week, I got faith in the Cowboys. I'm going to go Cowboys 24, Washington 20.
Okay. I respect that score. Alrighty. Last game, possibly we'll see if it happens or not. We got a really good game actually. We should finish that off great if it does happen. We got a battle of the NFC North. You have Pittsburgh Steelers who are 10-0 taking on the 6-4 Baltimore Ravens. Ravens has been stinking. They were in the trash run today, and the Steelers have been hitting on all cylinders. Not even on all cylinders, but they've just been playing well. This is a tough one because, I mean, it is a divisional game at the same day. Will this be the time they finally get it together? I say no, and the Pittsburgh Steelers go 11-0, and I think Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it'll be a tough game as well. I think it'll be a close game, 25-21. Pittsburgh Steelers getting the victory here. Pittsburgh just keeps taking care of business. Divisional game, which they need on a short week. I think the Ravens just has a lot going on with the COVID and with just stinking. So it's just a double whammy situation for them. And Pittsburgh Steelers continue their dominance this year.
I'm going to go with the Steelers as well. The Ravens look. If you had asked me about this game in like week 4 or 5, I might have said Ravens, but like you said, the Steelers have just been playing really good football, and the Ravens have not been. So you got to go with the Steelers, in my opinion. I'm going to say Steelers 27, Ravens 17.
All right. I like it. Also, something else that I like Thanksgiving, and I am thankful for you, Jonathan. I'm thankful for this podcast. I'm thankful for you guys for watching. It's been a great year. We're coming close to the end of 2020. This has been a crazy football season. Playoffs is ramping up. The playoff pylon is going to be intense for us as the greatest sports podcast in its rookie year. It's only getting better. We're not hitting any rookie wall over here, as you can see through this episode. It's been elite. Pylon, baby. We just keep getting better. We're like Derrick Henry. Just keep feeding us, and we're just going to keep getting better towards the fourth quarter and overtime if needed.
Correct.
But thank you. We will see you guys next Tuesday. No episode on this Thursday because we are going to be enjoying some turkey, ham, sauerkraut, mac and cheese, stuffing, green beans, greens, Hawaiian rolls, etc. Whatever you guys you eat. fried chicken. I think we can have a deep fried turkey this year, which I'm excited for. I am going to be making the famous sandwich from
My sandwich.
Like, I've been waiting all year to do this, and I think this is the year. I'm rewatching Friends right now, so I'm definitely going to watch the episode and make it the moist
What are you
maker.
watching it on?
HBO Max. Friends is on HBO Max, so as Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So it's pretty good stuff on there. Also, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion show just happened recently, so that's pretty good. I haven't seen it though. I haven't watched it. So
No,
that's
I've just seen the TikToks from it.
dude, so many of them. They're promoting the crap out of it.
Facts.
But yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. I get a couple of days off of work, which I'm super excited for. Need the refresh. Need a new TV, so we'll see what happens in this Black Friday sales. But yeah, any final words? What are you thankful for, Jonathan?
I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for our viewers. And I'm thankful for football.
Yeah, I love it. All right, well, that is it for us. And if you ever question who we are, just remember this.
Who do you think you are?
I am!
Facts.
But that's a wrap, and we're going to finish off on another high note, and we'll catch you guys next Tuesday. Peace out, everybody, and have a great Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of food. We'll catch you next Tuesday.
See ya.